Thank you for joining us tonight. We have confirmed that the Soviet Union has landed troops and rolled in tanks into Afghanistan.
Thousands of troops have been sent into Afghanistan, and the Soviet Union have taken complete military and political control of Kabul and other large portions of the country. This is the first time the Soviet Union have invaded a country outside the Eastern Bloc.
50,000 heavily armed Soviet troops have crossed the border and are now dispersed throughout Afghanistan, attempting to conquer the fiercely independent Muslim people of that country.
The Soviets were met with fierce resistance when they ventured out of their strongholds into the countryside. Resistance fighters called Mujahideen saw the Christian or atheist Soviets controlling Afghanistan as a defilement of Islam as well as their traditional culture.
The United States is not in the slightest delight with their decision, and in effect the relationship between the U.S. and the Soviet Union has reached new lows.
After being elected, President Ronald Reagan has initiated a massive military buildup, and he has shown greater willingness to confront communism.
Responding to this action, the United States has withdrawn its support for a new arms control treaty.
We know Dunkin' Donuts are always fresh and come in more varieties than supermarkets.
Excuse me.
But we like to make sure.
Do you have delicious chocolate frosted donuts like Dunkin' Donuts?
No.
Do you have 5 kinds of jelly donuts?
No. Ma'am.
Were these made fresh this morning?
No. Good.
Dunkin' Donuts. Up to 52 varieties made fresh day and night. No supermarket can say that.
We have a reporter in Washington, D.C. near the White House with the United States reaction. Joseph, we go to you.
Thank you, Marcus. Indeed, the United States has just found out about the Soviet presence in Afghanistan. In the State of the Union address, President Jimmy Carter has announced that he is going to do something about this invasion by the Soviet Union. The Carter Doctrine states that the United States will use military force if necessary to defend its national interest in the Persian Gulf. It is intended to prevent the Soviets from seeking hegemony in the Persian region. In this document, Carter said, "Let our position be absolutely clear. An attempt made by any outside force to gain control of the Persian Gulf region will be regarded as an assault on the vital interests of the United States of America, and such assault will be repelled by any means necessary, including military force. It is evident that the United States is unhappy with the decision of the Soviets. We as Americans have the job to prevent communist government from spreading." What the Soviets are doing is morally wrong, and they have to be stopped. Afghanistan should be a free country, and the Soviets should leave them alone.
Thanks, Joseph. As we can see, the American public is unhappy. They do not agree with the Soviets, and this could possibly change the outcome of the Cold War.
We have communication with a Soviet reporter back in Russia. He is going to explain the events that have been going on in the Middle East. Rykov, back in Russia.
Thank you. Leader Brezhnev has decided to invade Kabul, the capital of Afghanistan, with the reasoning to prop up the communist government of the People's Democratic Party of Afghanistan against a growing insurgency. There has been reports of around 85,000 troops, 1,800 tanks, and 2,000 AFVs stationed in Afghanistan, and possibly more to come. Soviet troops plan to be stationed for a long period of time, building facilities for ground and air forces.
Thank you, Nikolai. As we can see, the Soviet Union will not back down, and they will keep their troops in Afghanistan in order to keep the communist government.
We have found out that the United States will not attend the 1980 Summer Olympics in Moscow. Let's go to Joseph for more.
The United States Olympic Committee has decided not to send a team to the 1980 Summer Games in Moscow.
That is right, Sandy. President Jimmy Carter proposed a month ago that the Moscow Olympics be moved to another country or postponed or canceled if the Soviet Union failed to withdraw its troops from Afghanistan within a month, declaring that it is very important for the world to realize how serious a threat the Soviet invasion of Afghanistan is. The president said that if the troops were not withdrawn in a month, he would ask the United States Olympic Committee to urge the International Olympic Committee to transfer or cancel the Moscow Games. President Jimmy Carter announces that the U.S. will boycott the Olympic Games scheduled to take place in Moscow. The announcement came after the Soviet Union failed to comply with Carter's February 20th, 1980 deadline to withdraw its troops from Afghanistan.
In addition to the boycott, Carter increased pressure on the Soviets to abandon the war in Afghanistan by issuing a trade embargo of 2 U.S. goods that the country desperately needed: grain and information technology. He also restricted the Soviet fishing in American-controlled ocean waters. Carter called to the UN to provide military equipment, food, and other assistance to help Afghanistan's neighbors, especially Iran and Pakistan, fend off further Soviet encroachment.
It seems Canada, West Germany, and Japan joined the U.S. in boycotting the games this year. Many Americans sympathize with the athletes who have worked so hard toward their goal of competing in the Olympics, and who might not qualify to compete in the next games in 1984. At the same time, the boycott symbolizes commitment many Americans feel to fighting the oppressive, anti-democratic Soviet regime.
Isn't it pink? Isn't it cool to drink cherry 7-Up? Can't get enough. Isn't it so cool? Cool and pink makes you feel so right. You take a chance tonight. Isn't it cool and pink? Cherry 7-Up. Isn't it so cool and pink?
We have sources that say the Soviets are going to retaliate by boycotting the Summer Games that will be held in Los Angeles. Let's go to Nikolai for more.
Yes, the Russian Olympic Committee has pointed out that they are unhappy with the United States' decision for boycotting these games. They have made it clear that this is not right, and they will, in response to this, be boycotting the 1948 Olympic Games that will be held at Los Angeles.
Thank you very much, Nikolai. We will continue to follow the story as it further develops, but we are sure that there is tension in the relationship between the United States and the USSR as the Cold War continues.